Okay, good afternoon. Move the camera a little bit. All right, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting here for this Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. It's 1:02 p.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my left is the Vice Chair, Commissioner Gary Edwards, and our third Commissioner, Carolina Mejia, is present through Zoom. The public this is a public meeting in which was being live streamed through our county YouTube channel. The topic today is the appeal of a potentially dangerous dog declaration. And that's a term of art under Thurston County Code. We have an hour slated if we need it. And what else needs to be said preliminarily? I'm going to have staff kind of lay out a very thumbnail sketch of the issue before us today. I will go through some of the process and procedure pieces, and then we'll go directly into the hearing. So Katie Johnson will provide sort of an overview.
Were you going to mention?
I did.
Oh, you did.
Yep.
Good afternoon, Katie Johnson. I'm here at the Commissioner's Office, Thurston County Manager's Executive Assistant. This hearing is the result of an objection to a potentially dangerous dog declaration received from the appellant, Carissa Dom. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. The plaintiff is Janet Anderson. The declaration of a potentially dangerous dog was served to the appellant via certified mail, and an objection was received within the 10 days of receipt outlined in the Thurston County Code 9.10.070C3. The issue before the BoCC is the fundamental factual question the BoCC must decide in this hearing is whether or not the plaintiff's dog entered the property of the appellant without invitation, and whether or not the interaction between the plaintiff's dog and the appellant's dog took place on the appellant's property.
Okay, thank you. I also want to point out for the record, our Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Elizabeth Petrich is also present through Zoom. I'm going to go through some of the instructions here so that the litigants can just pay attention to this piece particularly. This is a hybrid hearing made available to attend in person or via Zoom. The appellant, that's Ms. Dom, and plaintiff, Ms. Anderson, will each have 15 minutes to address the board and shall be permitted to present evidence previously submitted and or new evidence, if any, in support of their position and the relief they are requesting. The appellant, Ms. Dom, will go first and have 15 minutes. Then Ms. Anderson, the plaintiff, will have 15 minutes, and then Ms. Dom, the appellant, will have 3 minutes for rebuttal. The appellant or plaintiff may allot some of their 15-minute time to witnesses if they choose to call any. It's a combined amount of time. The board may at any time ask clarifying questions, address legal counsel or other staff, but if that happens, time will be stopped, and that time will not count against either of the 15 minutes allotted to the two litigants. And the clerk of the board will be keeping track of time, and around 3 minutes, she's going to give you or me the signal, and we'll try to let you know that you're down to your last 3 minutes of presentation of evidence within the 15. So this hearing will now begin. And we're going to begin with Ms. Dom. You can unmute yourself on Zoom. You will have 15 minutes, and we'll take it from there.
Well, first off, I just want to thank you for your time today. I do appreciate it. I know everybody's got busy days, so hopefully we can make this short and sweet. My first thing, I guess, that I would like to address would, the why are we here? We are here to determine whether or not my dog should be declared as potentially dangerous. With that being said, the outlines here state that if the dog is provoked, then it cannot be declared a potentially dangerous dog. So with that being said, there's a couple of things that I would like to point out. I sent in a letter once I received this, kind of explaining my side and the events that happened, since nobody else had witnessed the event other than my fiance. I'm going to go ahead and just read the letter that I had wrote in. So it says, hello, I am the owner of Nova. That is the dog in question, the pit bull mix. I received a packet saying that my neighbor is trying to declare her a potentially dangerous dog. I want to know how to go about finding out how to do this claim, yada, yada, yada. I inquired on how to get this ball rolling. My biggest questions and the reason I feel my dog is not at fault and should not be declared a potentially dangerous dog is she was in her own yard, my property, tied up to her own tether leash that we purposely have measured so it cannot go outside the yard. She was attached to this tether the day in question, and my fiance and I were loading our car up to leave for the weekend, and we didn't want her running in and out in between our feet, so we know we had her chained up. On the day of question, a small Chihuahua black dog who lives at the other end of my property. I'm going to show at the other end of the road. I'm going to show this here. It's a Google satellite imaging of our neighborhood. This is where my neighbor lives. It's a duplex. This is her neighbor. This is the opposing side. Her dog, I'm sorry if you can't see it very well, had to travel all the way down the other end of the cul-de-sac. And when you first come in our road, you have to either turn left or right. My house is here. My yard goes all the way down, and then there's gravel before the actual pavement hits. It happened right here where the X is, inside my yard. So not only did the dog come to my house, she then nipped at my dog who was in her own yard at the time. I only have one previous interaction with this other Chihuahua when we first moved in a few years ago. And I bent down to pet her and she nipped at me, and I haven't touched her since. So I don't know as far as the demeanor of the Chihuahua goes. I haven't had any other interaction with her. But I do know that I've never invited her in my yard. I've never told her to come to me. We've never told her. We've actually done the opposite. We've shooed her away, told her to go home. Up until this incident, I didn't even know which house she for sure lived in. We were just told by neighbors that she lived at the other end of the neighborhood. So from my understanding, after watching the couple of hearings that have already taken place or the discussions on the board, is that there were two questions that were really unknown about this, and that would seem to be the only reason that we're proceeding with this stage of the hearing. Is one, was the dog in her own yard? Yes, Nova was in her own yard and tethered to a leash, and her owner, Cody Blackwell, was out in the yard with her loading up the car. Fact number two, Bella the Chihuahua trespassed into my yard under no, I don't know the wording for it, but was not called, had never been called in our yard, had never come over to play with my dog. I've never even said good morning or anything to this dog. We've shooed her away. So she trespassed onto my property, my rental property, nipped at my dog. I was not present for this portion of it. My fiance said that they were sniffing each other, and then Bella nipped at Nova in the mouth, and Nova bit her in self-defense. Cody rushed over to see what was going on and gained control over Nova, and the small Chihuahua ran off. We got Nova in the house, settled down, and Cody went to go find out where the dog lived. I feel like I've done nothing wrong. There's nothing else I could have done to prevent this from happening. My dog has no other previous incidences of aggression or violence. If anything, she is a couch potato and lovable by my entire side of the neighborhood who has interactions with her. Here she is with a child, because I know there was letters submitted saying that they were concerned for children. I also want to point out that my dog has been living in this neighborhood for 4 years. Nobody's ever been afraid up until then. Nobody's ever expressed concern. My dog has never left the yard without a leash. She is off leash sometimes in her own yard when we're playing ball or when she's playing with my neighbor's dog, but she's never off leash unattended, as the dog in question, Bella, was the day of the incident occurred. Bella constantly would roam the neighborhood. I almost hit her with my car on several occasions because she would just lay in the road. I have other neighbors who have said the same thing on our end of the cul-de-sac, that they've almost hit her, unfortunately, because she does just lay in the road and she's very, very small. I've never seen my neighbor outside with her dog. I've always seen the dog unattended unless they're doing something in the front yard. But it seems as if Bella is just given free rein to run around unattended. And from my understanding, Washington states that you have to be within 6 to 8 feet of your dog or on a controlled leash. I could be wrong, but that's the research that was coming up when I was looking at this. I'm unsure as to why the letters that were submitted via Miss Janet for her neighbors saying that they're afraid or that they're worried about this aggressive dog, when none of them have met my dog. None of them have interacted with my dog. None of them have even been to my end of the cul-de-sac into my house. So I feel like a lot of these letters are just defamation of character for my dog and are a lie, essentially, because none of them have met her. Nobody was outside during the event when it happened other than my fiance. So I feel like all these letters are just a bunch of stuff to cloud the judgment of the board to make it look like my dog, just because she's a pit bull mix, is dangerous. There's one letter in here from the mail carrier who states that she growls and barks at the window. I don't know any mail carrier that doesn't have dogs bark at them when they're out on their route. My dog is trained to alert when someone comes to our home. And then once we go outside and greet them or we tell her to behave, she calms down. I believe it was, I can't remember exactly which day that Janet came over after the event, after we'd got back from our vacation. Mind you, I also did leave my name, my number. I left my vet information with her because I did feel sorry that the event happened, but again, did not take fault because I don't believe that it was. Unfortunately, my dog was just minding her business in her yard and another dog approached her. There's nothing else I could have done to make this not happen because I had control of my dog. I was watching my dog and I was present in the house when this happened. And my fiance was outside with the dog. Janet was nowhere in sight. I had to go to her house, bang on her door because the TV was loud. She didn't hear me at first. When she came to the door, I let her know, hey, I believe your dog is injured. Do you own the black Chihuahua? She then told us, yeah, she came inside. What do you mean? And was confused. We let her know that her dog had come into our yard and my dog had bit her dog after being provoked and nipped at. I let her know that we did see blood, but we were unable to see exactly how bad it was. And so we went around and I knocked first on her neighbor's door because that's where we were told she lived. And then we went over to Janet's house. We stayed with the dog inside Janet's house until her friend could get there. We walked out of her house right as her friend was pulling in the driveway to take Bella to the vet. We did stay there while she was on the phone. We answered any questions that Janet had at the time. I feel like I've been very forthcoming with what happened. I do feel like it was a unfair circumstance that shouldn't have occurred had Janet had eyes on her dog and kept her at the other end of the within her yard, essentially. I feel like this is not negligence on my part. It's actually negligence on Janet's part. And had Janet been aware of where her dog was and what her dog was doing, this would not have taken place. Regardless, that's what it comes down to. My dog was in her own yard and on a leash, minding her own business. When her dog came into our yard, sniffed it first, we let it go, and then they nipped. So I feel like with all the evidence I've submitted with pictures of my dog with children, with other animals, with kittens, with other bigger dogs, she's played with smaller dogs before. My neighbor who lives next to me owns a lab mix. They play, well, not anymore because I had to have her on a leash. Because of this, but they used to play in our yard unleashed. They would run around the whole property. My house sits a little bit on a hill compared to everybody else's in the neighborhood. So there was no reason for this event to have taken place. I'm sorry that it happened. I feel like it shouldn't have happened, but unfortunately, negligence on someone's own part, it's not my fault. I did everything that a responsible pet owner should have been doing at the time that this event took place. And I feel like declaring my dog a dangerous dog or a potentially dangerous dog anyway is not right because my dog didn't do anything wrong. And this dog is my veteran fiance's best friend and emotional support animal, and he's devastated. Sorry. It's been a really rough couple of weeks because he is afraid to go outside with his dog. He's afraid to walk to the mailbox to get our mail with our dog because he's afraid of the ugly looks and of the lies that have been spun around our dog. We are constantly getting dirty looks. We are constantly getting, I feel like now at this point, like I'm afraid to walk my dog in my neighborhood and I shouldn't be. So I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that your dog trespassed into my yard. I'm sorry that there was negligence involved that made it to where the dog was not being monitored. But I don't feel like this is my fault. I don't feel like it's my dog's fault. And I don't feel like we should have her declared as a potentially dangerous dog when there's no other instances showing that she's aggressive. And just because she's a pit bull, I feel is a poor excuse to put her as a potentially dangerous dog. When she loves every single person that she meets, every person on my side of the cul-de-sac that has actually had physical interactions with her has nothing but good things to say. She plays with cats. She plays with children. She plays with kittens. She is a lovable dog. And I don't want any kind of defamation of character to come against her because she's my dog. That's my friend.
Ma'am, you have 3 minutes remaining in your 15.
Thank you so much. That's everything I needed to say. I feel like I've answered the questions under the legal terms of what it takes to clarify a dog as potentially dangerous. No, she was not unleashed. She was in her own yard. She was on her own leash, and her owner was present. I cannot say the same about Bella. That is all.
Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Dahm before we move on to the plaintiff's presentation? You'll have an opportunity at the end if you prefer it that way.
Yes, I have no questions at this time.
Ms. Dahm, I'm going to ask you a couple. I want to clarify between what you saw and what your, is it fiance or Mr. Blackwell?
My fiance, yeah.
Your fiance. Just if you could separate out what you personally saw.
What I personally
versus,
saw, absolutely.
Versus what he told you happened. So if
Yep.
you hadn't heard anything from him, what did you see in terms of yelping or blood or the interaction?
I heard Cody. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. I heard Cody, my fiance, yell Nova's name. I was in the living room on my way out with a box to load into the car. And I heard him yell Nova's name, and it wasn't a playful yell. It was like a Nova, like a command. And I came out and I saw him not running, but fast walking, I would say, probably briskly over to her. It was only a couple of steps, so you couldn't really do a run. And that's when I saw Bella in my dog's mouth. She had her by the leg at the time, I believe, leg, stomach area. And Cody told her to drop it, and she let go. And that's when Bella ran off down the road to the other end of the neighborhood.
Okay, so you didn't see the initiation of contact between the dogs, but you saw the tail end of the.
I saw the tail end of it. I heard Cody say Nova's name. And then at that point, I was already at the door. And so I saw him as he was getting to her.
And that was firmly within the yard, where you showed us the X on the map. You showed
Yeah,
us
so on this here, let's see if I can make it a little easier.
You're on a bigger screen now, so we can actually see pretty good.
Yeah, so it's an older picture, the satellite. There's some trees. So here is where like his car is. I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it would have been right next to it at the time, right here. And so Cody was at the back end of my car. So if you could just imagine, Cody is standing basically at the back end of this car.
Yep.
And my dog, her tether is connected to a piece of cement that sits up here towards the house. And it comes down here to where the X, sorry, it's backwards for me, to where the X is.
I gotcha. And the red line that you've outlined is the red square is your property line?
Yeah, this is my half because it's a duplex. So there is another half of it.
Okay.
So I've just outlined where like we as the duplex people consider like the middle of the driveway to be, that's my portion.
Okay. And at the time that Bella ran off, you saw with your eyes that Nova remained tethered that entire time.
Yeah, Nova was on the tether. It wasn't until I personally unclasped her after telling Cody to go find where the dog lived. At the time, I didn't know the name. I said, go follow the dog because we had no previous interactions of where the dog lived. Everybody on my side just always says, oh, it lives down there somewhere. I unclasped Nova, yelled at Cody to go find the owner. I walked Nova up my yard into my house, put her in there, made sure she was calm. I checked over her, and then I left my house to run down the street. I caught up with Cody as he was knocking on Janet's neighbor's door. And then they came out and told us that Bella had actually lived next door.
Okay, we're going to go to Ms. Anderson. Ms. Dom, you'll have 3 minutes of rebuttal after, if you want it. You don't need to take it, but Ms. Anderson, you may unmute yourself on the Zoom, and you'll have 15 minutes, up to 15 minutes. I'll give you a 3-minute warning if you get to that point. And you can, again, present previously submitted information, new information. It's really your time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I am not going to take up your 15 minutes. I actually, I know for a fact that Cody does know who my dog is because I was walking her one day in the neighborhood and he was at the mailbox and actually said hi to Bella. So for her to say that they don't know each other, it's my word against hers, but he did say hello to her one day where I kind of thought to myself, how does he know her? I actually have something that I need to share with you guys that was given to me by my neighbors. That is a video of the dog in my neighbor's yard off with the leash dragging, like he had gotten out of their, control. And so I am needing to share the screen. That's the only way I have figured out how to do it from my phone.
Is that possible, Steph? Okay, it sounds like you're enabled to do that.
So this is the video that was shared with me from my neighbor. And so my neighbors were all out in their yard and they all panicked and all were in their houses. They had babies out in the yard. And my neighbor was standing at the door taking the video. I was not involved in this.
I do have a question as when that video was taken.
Go ahead. Yeah, when, do you know when the video was taken?
So this video was taken on September 1st. It's at the top of the video. If you can see it, because I'm still screenshotting, you can see at the top, it says September 1st.
And the date of this incident was when? July 20th?
Yes.
Okay. And where is that property located that you showed us the yard of, your neighbor's property?
So that is across the street. That map that Carissa has, it's across the street from my duplex.
Okay. You're off their property is what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So besides that, that's really all that I have.
Okay. Commissioners, questions for Ms. Anderson? If any.
No, if that's all she has, I don't have any questions, I don't believe.
Go ahead.
My questions are in relation to Bella roaming around as well in the neighborhood. Do you often let her out?
She does go out. She loves to go see the neighbors on my side. I did not realize that she was going that far down to the other side. My neighbors actually across the street let her in their house.
Thank you.
And
So do you have any evidence that would contradict Ms. Dom's contention that this interaction between Bella and Nova happened on their property at the location that was described? Do you have anything that suggests that that's inaccurate?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. My dog, Bella, only had half her teeth. She had lost all of them. That's on vet records. And so for her to say that she was nipping them is, for me, hard to believe because she had no teeth.
Okay. Thank you. Then I'm going to allow, at this point, Ms. Dom, you have 3 minutes if you needed it for any rebuttal. It should be limited to contentions or evidence provided by Ms. Anderson, not restating what you've already presented, but you have 3 minutes if you'd like it.
Okay. I guess my main thing is, I apologize that Nova was in your yard. It does appear as if she had a leash. So that video wasn't very long. I don't know what day that was happening, or if Cody was right behind her and grabbed the leash and grabbed her out of the yard. Dogs get away, they pull sometimes, they see a squirrel. I wasn't out that day. I'm not too sure what happened. I can only apologize, but honestly, it doesn't seem as if my dog is doing anything malicious or aggressive or showing any aggressive behavior. It looks like she's just sniffing around a yard. So again, I do apologize. She was in somebody else's yard at that one time, but I feel like one video where she's in somebody else's yard attached to a leash, again, should not declare her as a dangerous dog. The reason we're here today is, why is my dog being declared a dangerous dog or potentially dangerous dog? I don't feel like any evidence that Janet Anderson has given has put that towards my dog. So that's all I have to say. I think the evidence I've already provided between pictures and everything shows that. I really don't have anything to say as far as what Janet has said, except for a dog can still nip even if they don't have teeth. Not having teeth is not going to, if whether or not Bella felt like she needed to nip, I don't know. I'm quite bigger than a Chihuahua, so I could see how bending down to her, how maybe she could feel like I'm an aggressor, and I could see how her nipping towards me, that's a dog instinct. I get it. I never went to her and said, oh my gosh, your dog nipped me. I just let it go. So I feel like I could just as easily say that Janet's dog is a potentially dangerous dog, that she had nipped at me and then nipped at my dog. So I just don't understand why we're here to declare my dog a potentially dangerous dog when I've more than proven that she's not. That's all I have to say.
Ms. Tom, the testimony you gave was relevant. I don't mean to suggest otherwise, but is there any reason why Mr. Blackwell didn't provide a written statement or testimony?
So he suffers from severe PTSD and he cannot compose himself in this kind of environment. Like I said, he feels very, very distraught. I'm gonna cry, sorry. He feels very distraught over what's happening because our dog is his best friend and he is a decorated Army veteran, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't be here. He didn't even want to fight it. He just wanted to let it go. It was my idea to say, no, we don't need this stigma on another pit bull, to be on another dog. So Cody didn't provide a written statement. I can get him on the phone if you want to hear it from his mouth. But he did not provide a witness statement because he's letting me handle the situation.
Okay, commissioners, anything else for the litigants?
No, sir. I'm fine with the information that I've had to make a ruling.
We really appreciate both of you being here. The board will render a written decision within 30 calendar days. All parties will be notified via certified mail as well as email, if you made an address available, of the board's decision. The board's decision then may be appealed to the City of Lacey hearing examiner pursuant to Thurston County Code 10.09.070.5. This hearing is now closed. Stand in recess. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Elizabeth, could you stay on for a moment?